Under a sky draped in hues of an early dawn, Arlington Heights breathed to life. Suburban houses, each meticulously manicured, sat like pearls on a necklace, punctuated by the occasional sigh of wind through the trees. Nestled in its heart, the police department stirred with dutiful efficiency. Leonard Mccan, or Leo as he was known, stood hunched over a desk cluttered with cold coffee mugs and scattered case files. His sharp, steely eyes, a mirror to the resolve within, moved across a new case file. The once lively conversations in the precinct fell to hushed whispers, the air heavy with anticipation as Chief O'Hara approached Leo's desk. With his burly build and thunderous voice, O'Hara was a force to be reckoned with. He cast a stern glance at the file in Leo's grasp. "Mccan, this one is peculiar, even for you." Leo merely nodded, his gaze never leaving the file. His world was one of shadows and secrets, where the worst of humanity was unmasked. Yet he bore an unusual optimism, an unwavering belief that light could be found even in the darkest corners. His life was a testament to this. Plagued by a crippling fear of heights, he was, by choice and circumstance, a man anchored to the ground. He had long learned to transform his fears into fuel, propelling his ascent in the police department. His ambition was not rooted in power or prestige, but a steadfast belief in justice. The Arlington Heights morgue was an odd case, even for him. A string of inexplicable thefts, ranging from medical paraphernalia to the deceased's personal effects. As he delved deeper, what stood out was a strange symbol etched into the corners of the morgue, as if to mark a grotesque territory. Leo spent long hours talking with the distressed morgue employees, gentle in his inquiry, firm in his pursuit. His dialogue with Marianne, a longtime worker at the morgue, was particularly revealing. A woman of few words, her trembling hands betrayed the fear she carried. "Detective Mccan, it's not just the thefts. It's the chill in the air, the whispers in the silence. It's as if something is watching." The thought was chilling. A stone dropped into the tranquil lake of Arlington Heights, creating ripples of unease. Yet he was undeterred, his optimism an unquenched flame against the growing shadows. His pursuit led him to an ancient library, a place lost in time and dust. As he stood before the towering wooden door, its oak veneer worn by countless years, he felt an inexplicable sense of foreboding. The quaint town, the buzzing police precinct, the scenes of theft were worlds away. He was about to step into an abyss that lurked in the heart of normality, an underbelly of a quiet town where an ancient evil began to stir. The ancient library stood a solemn sentinel shrouded in an otherworldly hush. Leo passed beneath its high arches, where each footfall echoed against worn stone, whispering tales of yesteryears. Book-laden shelves, a labyrinth of time and tales, towered over him. The air was thick with knowledge, laced with a musty charm that only centuries of untold stories could breed. Behind a weathered desk sat a librarian, Agatha, her frame as frail as the pages she tended. Her eyes, however, held a sparkle, a testament to the wisdom cradled in the depths of her soul. Leo explained his purpose, showing her the symbol etched at the morgue. Agatha studied the symbol, her knotted fingers tracing its ancient lines. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was a tremulous whisper. "This Detective Mccan is a relic of a forgotten time, a harbinger of an entity not meant for our realm." The jovial sparkle in her eyes was replaced by an eerie seriousness that echoed in the silence. His practical mind recoiled, struggling to thread logic through this arcane revelation. Yet he indulged the old lady, his professional instincts sensing that her words held keys to the mysterious thefts. Over time, his investigation turned into a waking nightmare. The hitherto unseen entity now began to manifest. In the morgue's chilling stillness, he felt its ethereal presence, a spectral wisp on the edge of perception. The sight was like an itch at the back of his mind, always present, never fully graspable. The reality of Arlington Heights was fraying, its edges unraveling into the fantastical and gruesome. Haunted by nocturnal visits to the morgue, his dreams began to stir with an uncanny echo of his waking horrors. There were murmurs, whispers that grazed the edges of his sanity, a constant whisper of a cosmic entity that weaved in and out of his consciousness. The days flowed into nights in an unsettling blur. The morgue, the library, the police station began to feel less like places and more like different shades of a living nightmare. Yet Leo, the anchored man, stood his ground, caught between his rational world and an encroaching realm of unspeakable horrors. He found himself at the heart of the morgue in the still dead of night. The air grew denser, the edges of the world blurred, and in the spectral glow of the morgue lights, he saw it. A nebulous figure dancing on the edges of his vision, grotesque yet fascinating, a cosmic horror etching its reality onto the canvas of the mundane. The contours of Leo's world were becoming less defined, the lines between reality and the surreal increasingly blurred. The logical parameters of his existence began to buckle under the weight of the horror he was now confronted with. Each sighting of the entity was an assault on his sanity, the rules of his known universe imploding, sucked into the vacuum of an alien reality. He found himself in a dark, twisted mirror of his past struggles, his fear of heights repurposed into a fear of depths, the profound depths of an unfathomable terror. His reality now had a formless shape stalking its periphery, a cosmic predator taunting its prey with its mere presence. In the morgue's chilling sterility, the entity continued its dance on the edges of perception. Messages began to appear, cryptic words that ebbed and flowed with each pulsating shadow, words of a language not meant for human comprehension, whispers of an ancient past and an echoing future. Each message was a sinister performance, a malevolent puppeteer tugging at the strings of Leo's faltering sanity. In his brave struggle, he reached out to Agatha again. His voice wavered, trapped between disbelief and fear, as he explained the messages. Agatha listened, her face pale, the age lines deepening with dread. She recognized the language as an ancient dialect, ominous narratives told in the shadows of forgotten civilizations. Through hushed whispers and trembling hands, she began to decipher the messages, guiding him to a dreadful revelation. The stolen items were not mere thefts, but ingredients for a banishing ritual, a counterspell against the encroaching entity. Parallel to the escalating terror, Leo found his acrophobia resurfacing in a cruel mockery of his past. The entity had begun staging thefts at increasingly higher locations, exploiting his primal fear. Scenes painted high above the ground forced him into a maddening dance between his two fears, heights of the mundane world and the depths of cosmic horror. He trudged on, his resolve as firm as the ground beneath his feet. His optimism, once a bright flame, was now a dim ember, stubbornly fighting the encroaching darkness. His waking hours, a crescendo of the macabre, were mirrored by nightmares, echoes of his encounters with the entity. One night, he found himself waking at the foot of the tallest building in Arlington Heights, with no memory of how he got there. The police found him unconscious, his hands clutching a stolen object from one of the higher theft scenes. His nightmare was spilling into reality, his safe, grounded world giving way to an elevated horror. Amidst his fear, he found hope in the artifact in his hands, a piece of the puzzle, a step towards banishing the entity. The line between his fears blurred further, the entity intertwining them into a monstrous duality, a dizzying height veiled by an unspeakable depth. In the daunting embrace of night, the Arlington Heights skyline loomed like a monolith against the star-streaked canvas. At its heart, the towering crane stood, a metallic sentinel reaching for the heavens. It was atop this iron giant that Leo found himself, the height a cruel embodiment of his deepest fears. His ascent to the top was an ordeal, each rung a battle against his acrophobia. His heart pounded with a primal dread, yet the determination that had steered him through his grounded life propelled him skywards. He was no longer a mere detective battling an unearthly thief. He was a mortal, a fragile speck against the vast, uncaring cosmos, fighting for his reality. High above, the world of Arlington Heights seemed a distant dream. He could see the morgue, the library, and the police station, each a chapter in his journey from normality to nightmare. The detached serenity of the scene was a stark contrast to the turbulence within him. The air grew denser, shadows swirling around him like ink in water. In the eerie silence, the entity emerged, an amalgamation of nightmares, grotesque yet captivating. He clutched the stolen items, fragments of an ancient ritual, his only shield against the encroaching darkness. Words, a melange of ancient dialects and whispered prayers, tumbled from his lips. Agatha's guidance echoed in his mind as he traced the ritual, his trembling voice daring to banish the unworldly terror. Each syllable etched into the air was a plea, a rebellion, a silent scream against the cosmic horror. The entity reeled, its nebulous form flickering in the face of the ritual. The air twisted with an unbearable pressure, reality buckling, the cosmos and Leo caught in an intense dance of wills. Then, with a final word, a thunderous silence fell. He stood alone at the peak, his sanity teetering on the edge of the abyss. He had banished the entity, won the battle, yet the war was far from over. He stumbled down the crane, his legs heavy with an exhaustion that reached into the marrow of his bones. Back on solid ground, his world was forever marked by the shadows of his encounter. His promotion came, a hollow victory weighed down by the knowledge of the lurking horror. The brave detective of Arlington Heights had ventured into the cosmos, danced with an ancient entity, and lived to tell the tale. Yet he knew the entity was only banished, not destroyed. The cosmos still held it, perhaps even now watching and waiting. He stood at the precipice of an enigma, forever caught in the tension between the security of the mundane and the lurking terror of the unknown. His escape is a haunting sentence, a tenuous victory, and the echoes of his journey linger in the shadows of Arlington Heights. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed our content, show your support with a like and subscribe, and stay notified by hitting the bell icon. Expect more cosmic horror from Eldritch Tales Factory, and feel free to explore our other stories. See you in the next video.